So, what made you come up with the idea of the show? You were speaking a little bit about how this was a bit of your own background.
That's right. I grew up in a manse house, which is the house behind a church, with my three siblings and my parents. My dad is a Christian minister, and so I saw firsthand that the chaos of what happens in a small country church where the minister is minister, is fireman, is teacher at the school, is sports person with the local footy club, is fundraiser, is counsellor. And I thought, what a fantastic connection to community. So while my dad is as far as I know, a qualified real church reverend, not a criminal, I thought, what a great connection. And when I thought, how do we make a show about community? I thought, well, let's center it around a community center, one that I knew a lot about, one that gets involved in every aspect of people's personal and professional lives. And then let's put a twist on it where he has a skill set which is criminal, which means that he can go into kind of all different worlds and potentially actually become a good helper to people with a skill set that you wouldn't expect.
Was it important for him to kind of be not be from there, to be from the United States and be a complete fish out of water in a sense?
It was very important. When I grew up, we were in a couple of different congregations, and a minister goes into a small town on placement. This happens for usually 3 or 4 years. So they're a fish out of water in a sense always. But we just wanted to expand that concept and dramatize it a bit further. So we went to the other side of the world to, snowy Chicago, got a pale guy from snowy Chicago with a big coat and stuck him on a bright coconut palmed beach in far north Queensland. And we wanted to put him as a fish out of water geographically, culturally, professionally, in every aspect of his lives to really turn the screws on the pressure so we could add suspense and comedy to the show as well.
Yes. And Alastair and Debbie, why did you want to be a part of this project?
Look, we just fell in love with the idea as soon as Paddy pitched it to us, for all of the reasons that he talked about, like his personal connection to that story, the fact that it's got sort of high stakes drama, but warm relationships, and it's ultimately, it's a redemptive story of someone becoming good, and it's a story for our times, really, something that everyone needs at this moment of, it's a difficult world. But we wanted to take people to tropical far north Queensland, which is like an ideal tropical paradise. It's a great place to take people in the midst of winter in the US, I would hope.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a place you want to be, and for me, in a really simple way, it's a show I want to watch. It's something I want to spend time with these people, and Paddy's pitch was so charming and engaging that I just wanted to be a part of it from the very beginning. So we're really excited for people to see it.
Yes. And so we have Mack, who is kind of the false Mackenzie. Then we have the real Mackenzie, who is kind of finally taking a chance, but in a very destructive way. How was it like to write and create this character who isn't there at all, but still plays a major part in kind of the decisions that are made and what kind of ticks around in this town?
It was a joy. I mean, he's the counterbalance to Mack. You're right. He's in a different place during the series. He's on his little sort of hedonistic journey of reclaiming his life and questioning his faith, which is just a lot of fun to watch. But he's key structurally to the series because he allows he locks Mack into the town in a sense. He knows Mack's secret, and he becomes Mack's consultant on all things reverending because Mack doesn't have a clue what he's doing. But Mackenzie was just fun. I mean, PJ is an incredibly gifted comic performer, and Mack, Colin, he had to play the straight guy in this role, so they kind of offset each other perfectly. So writing that character and creating that character, which I'll credit the whole writing team for. But I'm the face here, but a lot of people fed into that. Was a joy because it was the complete opposite of what Mack was doing. He's wild and crazy and out of control, where Mack is measured and considered all the time.
Yeah. A lot of what is about the show is kind of that fish out of water experience and adapting to Australia. I'm from the United States myself, from the Midwest, like Mack is. What do you think would probably be most surprising from an American coming into Australia to get used to for each?
Oh, look, I think there's a lot of things. I think, like, you know, like particularly in remote Australia, there are the cities and there's the bush or the country. You know, this is on the coast. You know, we shot in a town, and in the story, there's no internet and no phone. That is frighteningly close to the truth. There is almost no phone. Try shooting a 10-part drama series with virtually no phones and very, very sketchy internet. I think we had to move Colin's house twice because we couldn't get him online. That was very challenging. But I also think the wildlife, while a cliche, is so true. And there are animals like cassowaries and irukandji in the water that you probably never even heard of. There are a lot of things in Australia that can kill you. And we had an incredible safety team and very, very stringent safety protocols, but we had to be on the alert all the time. So I think Americans and really anyone from overseas who come to Australia get a bit of a shock at the amount of deadly wildlife. We were on the Great Barrier Reef in the rainforest, which is as wildlifey as it gets. So we had a lot of safety protocols in place to keep everyone safe.
What about you, Debbie and Alastair? What would an American find most surprising about Australia?
Well, in the first instance, not just Australia, but where it was shot, it was very, very hot. So it's like I think a wall of heat hitting you as the American walks off the plane. But as Paddy said, certainly the wildlife. I think you should look up cassowaries when you get off this interview and have a look at what they are.
They're a very dangerous bird. Yes.
But also I think Australians are very, very straightforward and very bold. They don't have the same kind of they're not necessarily always polite. So they're very straightforward. They're very funny, and often that's quite surprising to Americans as well.
And we drive on the opposite side of the road, so everything is fundamentally a little bit back to front, I think, for Americans when you get out here. So
it's true, and I think we put the pressures in all those categories on Colin. He had to move out here with his family. It was very hot. He's very pale. He was in the sun. We put him in a thick black cassock all day in the sun, running around, and we put him in a 6-meter 1973 hearse driving on the wrong side of the road with no air conditioning. So I think he deserves some
trooper.
Yeah.
He took it on. He's a trooper.
It sounds like paradise with a twist. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Congrats on this project. I'm looking forward to more episodes.